The Big Al Podcast with your host, Al Bishop, unfiltered and uncut.
Mr. Graeme Cartmell, welcome in house, sir.
Hi. What up, Big Al?
What's happening? Thanks very much for your time, man. Popping down and having a chat with us. We've got a lot of things to discuss. There's a lot of action happening.
There is a lot of action. A lot of cool stuff happening in the UFC. A lot of cool fights. What do you want to hit ask on first?
Well, I think probably the biggest story that, well, for me personally, is Yannick Bahati.
Yes.
It was announced now that he's going to be fighting at BAMA. So just to touch on that and what that means for the prospects for the EFC and that whole division, in fact, what's going to come of it?
It was great for us because I think, he's a super athlete. He needs to stay active, and it just shows, how good he is. BAMA like him. He's fought there before.
Yeah.
And they want to give him an immediate title shot. So it's not exactly like he's had to groom his way through the ranks. So he's fighting for the middleweight title, and hopefully he comes out on the other end as a 2-promotion champion, which would be amazing. We were going to do a fight with him and Norman Vessels. We are not doing that fight anymore. Norman is, I think, he's going to take a little bit of a break from mixed martial arts. There's some things he wants to do. I think, obviously, like many of the guys, you probably have him on your show, and he can explain what he wants to do. So I know deep down he wants to fight Yannick. It's not he's not worried about fighting Yannick, and I don't think that he fears fighting him. It's just in his head, he's got a lot of things that he got to sort out, and he wants to focus on the Fight Fit as a gym.
Yeah.
And I think Richard's happy that he wants to do that, and that's cool. So, for us, it's very much like GSP. The guys go away for a little bit and they come back.
Sure.
So we love Norman, he's cool, but he's not going to be fighting Yannick. Yannick has got a big matchup, and I think what we'll probably try and do is, there's a big matchup for him in August, fighting for the, he'll put up his title in August.
Okay.
So
that's so he fights now in May at BAMA. So you're saying he'll be back fighting for the EFC in August?
Yes, he'll fight, put his title up in August.
Okay, against the... I can see by your smile there's a big unknown opponent.
There is a massive opponent. I think there's a lot of, he's been brooding with a lot of guys in the organization.
Sure.
So we'll announce that in good time. I just want to get it signed and locked down.
Okay.
But I've offered the fight to Yannick, and he literally is running around screaming when he heard the matchup. So I think a lot of the fans will be doing the same thing when they hear who he's going to be fighting.
And what is his deal with BAMA? Is it just a
one-off? It's a 2-fight deal, so he's going to fight now, and then if he wins, he'll obviously defend. But inherently, I've spoken to their matchmaker Jude. Everything's amicable between ourselves and BAMA. They're a cool promotion, and effectively it gives guys the opportunity to fight, get some money in their back pocket, notch up some wins and build their record. But ultimately his loyalties lie with EFC. It's it's the big promotion here. It's the one that people are looking at. He's the champion here. So 2-fight deal there should be good for him.
Okay. And where does that leave the EFC middleweight division? Is it kind of just, it's not, obviously can't just be put onto us,
Never. We are building guys consistently. We've always got internationals coming in, good guys. I'm looking for a lot of talent across Africa at the moment. That's a big pull for me. And ultimately, guys like Cameron Meinke's fighting Gordon Rudman that are right up there. We've still got Rafael Arachak is still in the mix.
We have to go back there.
Yeah.
So that fight is that almost a done deal? Gordon Rudman.
Well, no, 100%. We should be advertising that fight. That's done. That's on first fight on the main card.
Okay.
So
when is that?
That's going to be in Durban in June.
Okay, so it's on the Durban card.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's cool. I mean, Cameron's quite a big name down there, and Gordy loves to cause trouble wherever he goes. So I think it'll be a spectacular matchup.
Sure.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But Cameron is pegged, and maybe Gordon asks him for a top spot there. But I think Mankey's is right up there. He's running some good win streaks. He's on a good win streak. We've got Rafael Arachak, who's still very much in the mix, put on a great performance against Strickers. And David Bursky's still very much in there. I mean, you know, I know these guys are running losses, but a loss, not losses, a loss. But they were at the peak before they kind of they got derailed. And there's guys like Mark Hume, who we can consider in that division. Mark's walking around in the 90s at the moment because he wants to do Abu Dhabi. And I had a long conversation with him now. In my vlog, I posted it that he's going to be fighting at middleweight, which will be really exciting for that division. We still have Jeremy Smith in the mix. You know, we still have JP Kruger. Those guys exist. They are floating around. You know, we can call on them and get them going. Jeremy had a spectacular fight now at Brave. Split decision loss. So, good fights.
Okay. So, in the meantime, in essence, you're basically in a situation in the middleweight division where you're kind of building up prospects now with a little break.
Yes. And the nice thing is this fight that we're going to do in with Gianni Patti in August is going to be the fight people want to see, and in the interim we can build up some serious challenges. And who knows, Norman might resurface. Guys are shifting divisions a lot, which is cool for me. It's easier. And it opens up kind of a lot of unanswered questions. You know, what if this guy were to go up a division? What if somebody would come down? So, in saying that, there are guys that would come down to middleweight, and there's certain guys that are big and strong and could compete in middleweight that we're going to look at. So, I don't want to give too much away yet, but I can guarantee you there are so many things that we're on the verge of announcing that are going to be very cool for everyone.
So we just have to wait with anticipation.
I'll tell you after we stop recording.
So yeah, you guys can hit me up after this. Then just on that Durban card, obviously it's being built already as it's going to be a massive card. It's a nice round number, the 60th event. You guys announced the inaugural women's title that's going to go up. So obviously it seems from our side that you're really going to really have a big smash in Durban and really put on a massive card.
Durban, it's so cool how every one of these cards, as we're putting them on, are growing into these mega cards. Even 59 is, I'll get onto that just now. Let's talk about Durban. But EFC 60 is huge. I went to the card this morning with Guy Lazarus, our marketing dude, and he was like, "What? It's mad." So I'll read you a little WhatsApp that I got sent by Amanda Lino yesterday. She says next time, tell me I'm headlining so I can ask you for more money. I went in easy, she says to me. I said, "Yeah, you did. Don't worry, girl. It's going to be a great experience for her. Headlining her first headliner." And the inaugural women's female flyweight title. Spectacular. And, you know, talk about Tricia coming in to kind of just being shoved into the spotlight. She took on Shana Power. I mean, you know Shana's an absolute beast. She destroyed everyone in amateurs, came across the EFC, looked like she was going to be the girl, and Tricia stopped her in her tracks. So... deservedly, I think she needs to get that title shot, and Lino's been flawless.
Yeah, sure. I think for Jackie, she had an opportunity and she took it with both hands. You know,
it's a rematch.
Sure,
it's a rematch.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I mean, you know, this goes back to discussions we've had before, Alistair, about so many people saying, "Oh, that's one-sided," or "That's that fight," and then you look at it and you go, "Really, really." Can you even say that in the sport anymore? I think people who say that have no understanding of what mixed martial arts is. You take a girl like Irene Rivera, who was in The Ultimate Fighter, who is 9-2, and you take Danila Alaisov, and she's 2-1, and go, okay, who's going to win this fight? Everyone, the bookies, everyone will put their money on Irene. What happened? Totally different story.
Yeah, it's a fight game, man. You've got to bring it on the night. You can't rest on your records.
Donovan Hawkey and Drickus du Plessis. Drickus had like 3 fights. Fought Donovan out over 30, and he did away with him. So, you know, I think the Tricia fight and the Lina fight are going to be cool. Then we've got Leon Maynard and Martin van Staden's moving to that fight card. We've pushed it out to then, which is going to be so cool. I mean, that's two of EFC's biggest veterans, of MMA's biggest veterans fighting each other.
Yeah,
and
massive fight there.
Wade Groth and Wesley Hawkey.
Okay.
I'm going to box it out. And I'll announce a fight that we have signed, which is Martin de Beer is going to be fighting Mourinho Kutundana.
Okay.
Mourinho lost at flyweight. He was the number one contender there. Baldwin beat him. There was a lot of controversy around it because a lot of fence grabbing and weight. Baldwin didn't make the weight. So Mourinho wants to get back in there and kind of reestablish himself.
Sure.
Maybe whether he chooses to do it in bantamweight, it's cool. But I think he'll start to then come out and fight at flyweight if he gets a win over Martin. But Martin's dangerous, man.
Yeah, sure. So it seems like you guys are trying to angle like Durban-based fighters specifically for that Durban card, and the biggest and the best that you've got.
Yeah,
available.
we do that all the time.
Sure.
We can talk about all the GBH guys that are going to feature on there. Like we're going to get the guys like Georgi Georgiev, the Bulgarian zombie.
The newly named Bulgarian zombie.
Yeah, we've talked about that guy so much, but we love him. He's cool. And we were saying that, one of the main things with Georgie is if he can match the skill set.
Yeah.
If he can match the output with the input that he takes or the punishment that he takes, he's going to be able to do some real damage. And I'd like to get, we had Armand de Brain going crazy saying, I'll fight him. We're like, cool, done.
Sure.
I want that fight. So let's get Armand in there. And Armand's been out of action for ages.
Okay.
So Durban's going to be off the chain. People are going to see a spectacular fight card.
Okay. So did you guys feel like, obviously there was a lot of outcry from Durban people specifically, when is UFC coming back and bring it back, and now they're getting like this massive card. So did you feel like inclined to kind of, okay, Durban, here you go?
Yeah, but we want to do that wherever we go.
Sure.
So that's not just for Durban. Like, we have done that for them. We've given them the biggest, baddest Durban fighters that we can, matched up against guys from all over the place, internationals, whatever we can. But I think, Durban's a cool crowd, and they were kind of the birthplace of MMA. So they've got so many good fighters already. So to headline that with Lino, she's going to bring huge support. To have Hawkeye on there, to have Martin van Staden, who's originally from Durban. Yeah, we've done that. We've kind of get it towards the Durban feel.
Sure. The next thing, there was an announcement you were on the clinch with Simon Stevens, and you made a couple of announcements, and obviously a lot of things came out of there. The next one was champion Dolce Chad Hanekom.
Yeah.
You guys announced that fight that would be happening at Sun City, and then shortly after, Chad Hanekom said he's pulling from that fight for whatever reason. So can you just give us a bit of clarity on what's actually going on there?
So the plan originally was we met with Chad and Norman last year, and the plan was that Norman was going to relinquish his title. It's a big decision for the guy. He was a huge driving force in that division. He said, I'm relinquishing, and we're not going to unify the belt.
Okay.
It's a big thing for us because obviously we wanted Champion and Norman, and Norm said, I want to step aside and have Chad come in here. And the discussion was, is he ready? He's only had 2 fights at that stage, or it was 3 fights. He just won against Wade Henderson, knocked out Henderson. And the feeling was, we're ready for it. So that was always the plan. And through the course of Chad going overseas, and things changed. In my mind, that fight was always happening. We were putting it on. We were negotiating purse. We were negotiating date, and he pushed the fight out. He'd asked because I'd actually offered it to him early than anticipated, and he said, no, I want to stick to July or later on in the year. So we pushed it out. We said, okay, fine, we'll do it then. He came back from overseas, had the discussions, and things slowed down. He said, I need to be honest with you and talk to you, and things slowed down. I said, okay, cool, I understand you want to fight international opponents, and that's your main drive, but kind of, you're still going to accept champion Dolce in July. Whatever happens between now and then, there's still opportunities. You can fight internationals and then fight him. Cool. And he was eager on it, but there was just a lot of confusion from their side and my side as to why we aren't knuckling this thing down. And I think ultimately it turned out to him saying, look, I'm not overlooking Champion, but I don't feel like he's a challenge. I want big international guys. And I said, well, okay. Well, the reality is my mind, and I think in EFC's mind, and I think in a lot of the fans' mind, is Champion is the guy. And if you're not gonna fight the champion. I don't want to push you, and Chad needs to give his story. So I mean, I'm sure you'll do a podcast with him and give him his version. But in my mind, it was always going to be him and champion Dolce. And some spanners got thrown in the works. Those spanners Chad needs to talk about and discuss. But ultimately, it's not happening. Champion Dolce is going to now be fighting in May instead. We're pushing that fight up because we only delayed that fight because Chad wanted it then. So now that he's not going to be fighting champion, let's give the champ his dues. And I've been looking at some seriously insane European talent in light heavyweight to come and challenge champion Dolce straight away. Get him active, keep him active, keep it going.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, obviously he's the champion, and you know it doesn't really make sense why Chad Hanekom wouldn't take the fight, but he's obviously got his reasons. But you can't look past the champion, you know what I mean? You've got to go and get that belt if that's what you want to do, regardless of who's there. And at the same time, it's a division that's begging for action. You know what I mean? It's been sitting almost in limbo for some time now. So I mean, the fan side are like, okay, well let's get this done. Let's see what's happening. You know, let's see the belt get defended, and let's see some action in there.
Champion's taken with both hands and gone, okay, so everyone's scared to fight me.
Sure.
What do you want me to do, boss? I'm like, cool, we're going to find you a beast.
Sure.
So we've got some serious applications on our desk, and I love watching Champion Dolce fight.
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm really excited now to match that fight for the fans. We always want to put on the fights that the fans want to watch.
Okay.
So let's find the opponent.
There was also a bit of talk about Tony Mustard dropping down.
Yeah,
to light
Mustard's
heavyweight.
coming down to light heavyweight. That could be exciting. Put some guys in that division. We've got a new light heavyweight signing. We've got Kian Iro we still want to do a fight with him and Tumela Maputa. We still want to do Ruben Groenewold and Simon Hall.
Okay.
You know, the two old bullies slugging it out. That fight has been committed to in principle. I've chatted to both of them. They're keen on doing it, and we wanted to do that in July. So there's a lot of activity. I've re-signed Gideon Drotsky into EFC, so he wants to come back later on this year.
Okay.
So he's obviously had a few issues with his health, but he's back in good stead, so we'll get him back in the mix.
Okay, so there is a lot of action happening at light heavyweight.
Yeah, surprisingly so.
Yeah.
You know, it's the hot. Listen, this is a global problem. It's not a EFC problem. This is a global problem. If a light heavyweight becomes available in an organization, everyone wants to get their hands on him. Oh, no, you know, and I understand why. Yeah. So it's a good thing.
Okay. Yeah, because it's like the pinnacle of weight classes, a light heavyweight. You know, it's the guys are a little bit more athletic. They still massive monsters in the lurk. You know, so it's an exciting weight division that everyone wants to see action happening. And
bring me your light heavyweights.
People of the world.
People of the world, send them.
Yeah, sure. So it's like, you know, it's sad that we're not going to see Chad Hanekom and champion now. You know, because that is the fight to make at the moment. You know,
sure, and don't write it off.
Yeah.
Maybe champion Dolce faces a slick international, beats him, racks up his wins. Maybe Chad goes, we get an international too for Chad. He racks up his wins, and it becomes even bigger when they do face one another.
Sure.
So there's not. I don't think it's a fear thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm not in the mind of Chad. I can almost guarantee, knowing the kid, like, he's a beast. He's an absolute athletic beast. I don't think it's a fear thing at all. I think it's literally timing and, you know, the guy wanting to, you know, rack up some wins under his record.
Sure.
And that's understandable. That's cool. So I would like to leave it at that. And, you know, there's no ill intention from EFC side. We love the dude. We hope he succeeds and kicks ass no matter what he does. Ultimately, we need to focus on what's right in front of us, which is put on the best fights that we possibly can. And in my mind, that is champion Dolce fighting a badass European. And we're going to find one, and we're going to bring them over, and we're going to make you realize, like very much like Carl Etherington, Ruin Potts.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Sure.
You know, Etherington's a beast. He's an absolute beast. But so is Ruan, you know?
Yeah. So, we'll go back to the heavyweights.
Yeah.
Just on just another clarity on JP Base Zulu Boy.
Yes.
That's been obviously, there was the incident with Zulu Boy in the car, and then it came out now. It was also in your vlog that JP's obviously destroyed his ankle.
Yeah, shame. Poor kid, man.
Yeah.
It's frustrating for him. But fight's been moved to July in Sun City, so that's gonna be a co-main with the heavyweight title.
Okay.
So we're gonna be doing the heavyweight title in July, and we'll be doing JP Base and Kazimola Zulu.
That's already a hell of a card in Sun City.
Yeah, can't wait for Sun City.
And the heavyweight title, we're waiting to see who's going to be the
contender.
contender.
We've obviously got, I mean, you know, you look at the heavyweight division, it's really stacked with some cool guys to put in there at the moment. So it's a toss-up, but we've nailed it down. Andrew's already committed to that fight and signed that fight a month ago. I put TBA in the column where it's supposed to say opponent, and he didn't care. He said, whoever you want me to fight, I'm ready for them.
Sure.
So I know he's been looking at, I know he was looking at Vessel Mostad, he was looking at Elvis Moya, because I would love to see Elvis Moya 3. It's 3.
Yeah, 3, yeah.
The last one was just so amazing that you think you just want to reference that.
Yeah.
So there's guys in the wings. I mean, Etherington's now fighting Potts. You know, who knows how that happens or how that unfolds. But there's heavyweights in the mix, and that's what's exciting about that division.
Sure. So are you guys, is it safe to say that you perhaps waiting for Etherington Potts to happen before you announce the contender?
Yeah, I'd like to see what's happening there.
Okay.
But we have our eyes on someone.
Okay.
And we're probably going to release that information quite soon.
Okay, cool. Because it's quite it must be quite a hard decision at the moment in the heavyweight division, because all of a sudden there's just action from every corner. There's contenders rising. There's, I mean, Elvis Moyo kind of against Andrew Funzel kind of said, look, I'm no longer the boxer that everybody thinks I am.
Yeah.
I am now a mixed martial artist, and I'm one of the best, you know?
Exactly.
So it's, look, for me personally as a fan, that's a fight I want to see, but you also can't limit yourself to that, because there's so much more happening.
Sure.
There was talk at the press conference, the post-press conference for UFC 57 about Vessel Mostad, but it was kind of also like, you know, maybe it's a bit too soon. Let's give him...
Yeah, Mostad, I feel Mostad's ready. I do feel he's ready. We think he's proven, like, he's knocked guys out, he's submitted them. He hasn't been the distance, which is Andrew's game. He can draw out a fight.
Yeah.
I think Elvis is ready. Elvis has proved it time and time again.
Sure.
And, you know, you want to watch that fight again. I think Etherington could come in here and make some serious waves, but Potts could stop him.
Yeah.
You know, Potts is an unorthodox sort of fighter. Like, he comes out with some weird stuff. He's been the top. He's been the champion before. He's running wins. He's supremely confident, as only Ruan Potts can be.
Yeah.
In every, no matter what he faces adversity, I'm just a positive dude. So so there's guys that we can consider, and I know that what we alluded to was Vessel, but I think that was because on the night, he was front and center.
Sure.
You know, but he's certainly the most exciting prospect to ever enter the EFC. I mean, he just blazed the trail in amateurs, fought internationally amateurs, and then comes to EFC and starts demolishing anyone you put in front of him. And you always kind of think, okay, well, he hasn't got a submission game, and he submits somebody, and you're like, oh, okay.
Sure.
You know, and I think him beating Tony Mustard, a well-trained international athlete, was great. He's got power.
Yeah, I think stylistically between him and Andrew leaves a lot of questions to be answered, you know.
It does.
It's kind of like, it'd be interesting to see how Vessel actually comes out for that sort of a fight, because he's, you know, he tends to get drawn into whatever his opponent gives him, you know what I mean? Like, and we saw that with Tony Mustard. All of a sudden it was just like, throw hands, and whoever's standing at the end of it wins, you know what I mean? Which you can't do with Andrew Funzel. Quite a cool tactic
he employed. He just, Vessel just pressed Tony up against the cage. And I mean, he got smothered, literally smothered at 140 kilos, and then just these pounding he pummeled him.
Yeah.
That's the right word to use. So I love watching Vessel fight.
Yeah, no, he's definitely an exciting talent, and so the heavyweight division is stacked, man.
I just wish I could announce everything on the show, but I can't. We've got to put it out when it's right.
Just looking towards EFC 58, obviously it's a monstrous card, but there's also quite a bit of repercussion for a lot of fights, not bad repercussions, but it's going to answer a couple of questions and leave new contenders, if we can say. So if we look at, obviously, Madiba and Syed
Yes.
waiting in the lurks, obviously DeMart Penna now, he's kind of sitting in the lurch waiting to see what happens.
Absolutely.
So is it safe to say that Syed versus Madiba is kind of like a title contention fight?
I wouldn't say that, no. At this stage, Syed was the interim bantamweight champion, and he lost to DeMart, and we've put another fight together with Madiba in the hopes of really igniting both Madiba and Syed back into a place of contention.
Okay.
It's not an official number one spot, but we're building them. We also just signed Francois Groenewald to face an international called Philippe Roch from France. It's the same guy who he trains with Cyril Asker.
Okay.
So Cyril Asker's guy's on a 4-fight winning streak. The kid's the heat. We've got another guy named Darko who's coming, who we're going to look at and see if he can possibly mix it up there. Certainly, Ishad Syed and Madiba, great fight. Could it be a number one contender spot? Yes, but it isn't.
Okay.
Not officially. Because we want to see what all this other talent that we're bringing in does.
Sure.
That's simple. Though, we want the best fights for the fight for our athletes, and
Sure.
that's it. And DeMart facing top guys is important for his career and to give people an exciting fight to watch.
Yeah, I think Syed Madiba is honestly, it's such a cracking prospect of a fight. Like, I'm just sitting here praying again that there's going to be 5 rounds there. Please give us, it's comments.
Man,
yeah.
Madiba's the type of guy either submits somebody quickly,
Yeah.
punches the hell out of them, or takes it 3 rounds. Like he you can't say, okay, no, he's consistently a UD guy.
Yeah.
He's not, doesn't take people to decision all the time. You never know what to expect. I mean, he just came out and submitted Anisek Kanyeba, and everyone was like, man, the first time you guys fought,
with a smile on
you
his
stood and
face.
traded for like however long that fight lasted. You just stood and traded for however long,
Yeah.
And now in this one, you come out there in the first 30 seconds, submit the guy. I was like, oh God.
with a smile on
With a
his
smile.
face.
And he came for his payday there. He was like, no, I want a quick payday. I'm out of here. So you don't know what to expect. I know that Madiba's going to possibly be bigger than Syed. And it's cool because those two do know they're both flashy and exciting fighters to watch. And in their personal lives and how they build fights, they're exciting. Madiba's been putting raps out to Syed. I don't know if you've heard the one that Syed's reposted back.
Yeah.
Man, it's so funny.
Yeah.
So the guys are really building the fight up. And we know when guys put so much effort in building the fight and they're super athletic, it always ends up in a great show.
Yeah, it's been getting quite creative now. There's a couple of face swaps and a bit of cuck president talk.
Good man.
Yeah,
good guys. I love it.
It's always exciting, man. And it's one of those fights as well that really gets people attached because I mean, Madiba he's just flying on another planet at the moment.
He's really excelling, eh?
Yeah, he's just in such a good space. He's confident, but he's very calm and he's quite like funny about it as well. And Urshad as well. He's always confident. And he's very charismatic. So you got these two like personalities really going at it.
It's quite cool. A lot of the guys that get the TV time, on SABC and on Kwese, are these personalities, and it helps that they're not just personalities and can't fight. I mean, they seriously can bang it out. So that's awesome.
Sure. And then the main event, again, please, if anybody's listening that can light your candles and kiss your roses,
MMA gods,
you do, please give us 5 rounds. Don Madge, Dave Mazany is legitimately one of the craziest fights I think we'll see this year, if not in the entire EFC history.
Totally agree. I totally agree. I realized the other day while we were watching the countdown show, I watched Mazany and Costa, Jadison Costa fight it out, and the knockdown from Jadison, look, it was a solid punch, but it was more of a, you get clipped and fall more than getting knocked out. Sure. And what you need to take away from that fight, if you watch it again, is as soon as Don hit the deck, he went into full awesome BJJ mode, which is something that everybody kind of is like, oh, Don Madge, BJJ. What are you talking about?
Don Madge, the Muay Thai.
He's
fighter.
a Muay Thai fighter through and through with these phenomenal liver kicks, as been expressed in this countdown show a million times. And even Dave's coach is like, we're prepared for the liver kicks, blah, 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 which is cool. But he's got this Muay Thai as well as an unbelievable BJJ game, which I think is going to surprise everyone. The wrestling is going to be the factor, and I think obviously Dave should be in the upper hand of that category, but who knows? That's the, like, if you said to me, put money on this fight, I wouldn't even try it. If someone said, your life depends on it, I say, well, you know what I mean? Like, roll a dice. Roll a dice. You don't understand how good both of these guys are on every single aspect of the MMA game.
Yeah, it's stylistically, it makes for such a great matchup. And I think Dave MAZANY, in his last fight in Cape Town, won over a lot of fans.
Yeah.
I can tell you, for me personally, he won me over because, you know, like, it's kind of, his whole gig is quite interesting because he's, you know, this wrestler running around in his tight red underpants and making, you know,
zero F's given. That guy doesn't care. He doesn't give a hell about who says what.
So, and like, you kind of see this guy and you're like, oh man, this dude's not serious, you know. And then, like, first time he fights, you're like, oh god, he's not serious. And then you see him again, and like, also because I was there live to see the way he moves and just the way he thinks about the game, you know what I mean? To see that live as well, automatically I was like, you know what, we've overlooked this guy, and this guy is a serious contender. He has immense skills. He's strong. His strength is one of the big factors that people, I don't think they talk about enough. Because we look at his wrestling and this and that, but he is extremely strong at lightweight, you know, and he's ragdolling guys
absolutely.
At the end of the day. So and I mean, Don Madge is a killer. He's an absolute killer.
You watch this countdown show, and I know I'm referring to it a lot, but you watch the countdown show, and the reason that I'm mentioning it is when you watch these things, all the stuff comes out, and you get a refresher on, oh my God, that's why these guys are so amazing. Like, you know they're awesome, but it's almost like, hey, do you remember this time? And do you remember this? And some of the things like Dave and Leon, you know, Simon Stevens says it in the interviews, like, you know, Don was kind of funny the way he reacted when he watched the fight, when he was there cage side watching the fight, and he was like, you know what, you're lucky you didn't fight me. Yeah. And Simon Stevens is like, doesn't Don remember that Leon didn't, he lost to Leon 3 times, and this guy, Dave, went in there and he didn't take Leon apart by any stretch of the imagination, but he warred him to pieces. Like, it was a proper war. And I even sat with Leon recently, and Leon said to me, you know what, I was getting hit in the face and I was bleeding and I couldn't see, and I just thought to myself, what am I doing this for? I'm not going to win. I can't see anything. I'm not going to be able to win, so I'm going to tap out and tell the ref that I want to stop. And I said to him, that's very unlike you, Leon, because usually you just, like, even if you don't have a limb, you'll go. He said, no, I had to. So it just shows you, Dave MAZANY is no joke in the stand-up. He stood with Leon and they traded, and we know how awesome Leon's stand-up is. So every aspect, I think, has been covered by Dave MAZANY. Don Madge, I mean, you can talk on this specific fight in Cape Town for hours, every little nuance of the last fight that they fought. You know, Jadison Costa versus Don Madge, you know, Leon Maynard versus Dave MAZANY. MAZANY knocking Sibu out, and MAZANY just, he's got the super punch for a wrestler, which happens a lot in wrestling for some reason. These guys manage to generate these big overhand rights. But, you know, where's this fight going to go? I don't know. I know it's going to be, I don't care who wins. I do not give a rat's who wins. I just want to see a 5-rounder like you.
Please.
Pray to those MMA gods.
Please. Yeah, it's going to be such a cracking fight. And I think it's 2 guys that are also deadly set. One is deadly set on keeping that belt, and one is deadly set on getting that belt. You know what I mean? So it's the way in my mind, like, I've actually watched this fight in my mind like 10 times already. It's quite funny. Like, you know, if it gets to a 5th round, it's going to be 2 guys that will not budge. You know what I mean? That's why
you're 100% right, Alistair.
And
I tell you why. I analyzed this yesterday. I was thinking about this. Firstly, you've got Dave MAZANY, who we know is, you know, a veteran in his career, but at the same time has every opportunity to go to the UFC, sits in Las Vegas all day, trains out of Extreme Couture. They're on his doorstep. They're watching him. They have his sister in the UFC. It'll be awesome for him to go one day. And he knows that if he gets beaten by the young buck, who's super, super talented, it really does rattle that sort of dream for him. And then you've got Don Madge, who wants it so badly. He's just beaten Jadison Costa, who's a big name. Second degree BJJ black belt. Jadison's fought guys like Fireball Takanori Gomi. He's fought top guys. So when, like a UFC's looking at Don, they go, wow, look at this kid's beaten Jadison Costa. And then they go, oh my goodness, he's beaten Dave Mazany. You know what I mean? He's right up there with some of the best that's ever been produced out of South Africa. Yeah. So what's on the line for both of the guys is so huge. And they're both talented. Sure. And they both can take it to the 5th round to make sure that
they're both fighting in Cape Town.
And they're both fighting in Cape Town. And there's no excuses. It's Don's hometown. Sure. Dave's not fighting at altitude in Johannesburg, and he loves Cape Town. Yeah. He's got a good following, like you said. And he even said to I think he says it in the countdown show, he reckons that the crowd is going to be split. That a lot of people are going to be voting for Dave. And I can imagine it. He's a real personable guy. But you don't know those Mad fans are insane. They come hard. So it's going to be cool to watch.
It's something about Cape Town as well. Is like a Grand West, the people there just really jump behind the local boys.
Big time.
You know what I mean? And especially Don Madge. It's Dave's going to have his work cut out for him in that sense. I think he's hoping that the crowd's going to be split.
Everybody thinks that Joburg is the Boykie fighter city. Yeah. And every time I hit Cape Town, I'm proven wrong. Yeah. They love it there. Although it's a very different crowd. And they're very, very much vocal about saying the word knee for some reason. Even in any position, the guys in a rear naked choke, knee. No, but Cape Town has got one of the coolest crowds that we've ever had, and the arena's amazing. Grand West just comes alive. Yeah. So.
Yeah, Cape Town is really cool, man. I'd encourage anybody that's able to get down there to really do it. It's such a cool atmosphere. It's really got like that big game feel about
big time. And even the weigh-ins. The weigh-ins are some of the coolest weigh-ins. In fact, not some of. The coolest weigh-ins we've ever done have come out of Cape Town. I think of Norman Vessels and champion Dolce. Yeah. Man, was that I felt like I can't even. It was the feeling more than anything. You've got hundreds of people, a sea of people, all chanting and going crazy. It is awesome. So get down to Grand West, people. We'll have a party, watch some fights.
Absolutely. Then also on that card, there's a couple of debutants. It's quite a cool story.
Yeah.
My man Faiz Jacobs. The last time I was in Cape Town, we went to Grand West, grabbed the Uber on the way back. It's quite chaos to get out of there. And we were sitting in the car, the Uber driver and like myself and my mate were, black bands back and forth between, this fight and Dave Mazany this and whatever. And then like somewhere along the line, this Uber driver just started participating, and he was like,
no way.
He's like, this guy's head movement and his counter striking wasn't on point and whatever. And I was just like, like technical. This dude was like super, super technical. And I was like, oh, you're a big fan? He's like, no, I actually fight.
No way.
I'm like, okay, cool. So like, where do you fight? He's like, no, he's a CFL champ, and he's fought here as an amateur, and there's an amateur. And I was like, cool, man. Like, like when you get home and you got a chance, just send me your stuff. And he's like, yeah, no, like it's so hard. Like I drive Uber for 10 hours a day, then I wake up, then I go train, then I go drive a bit more, and then I train again, then I drive a bit more, kind of like doing his thing. And he sent me his videos, and I was like, geez, man, this kid is like a really, really good talent. And here he is, Faiz Jacobs, my Uber driver,
is that him?
Dude, yeah, fighting in the EFC.
That is such a cool story, man.
He's I promise you, like, even now, you get goosebumps just talking about it. It's
like
such a
where he's come from, the journey that he's taken.
Sure, so it's
it's such a cool journey for a lot of fighters. They want this so badly, an opportunity to be on an EFC card means that you've made it in mixed martial arts on the continent, know, and further to that, you're going to be viewed by millions of people in South Africa on SABC, and then millions more across Africa on Kwese.
Sure.
So, I mean, it's cool for him to go from that, and I'm sure if you're going to be cage side with us, Alistair, you're going to be cage side with us.
I'm not.
Oh, damn. Anyway, it would have been cool. It would have been cool for you to meet him and see that story and chat to him again.
Yeah, I've chatted to him quite a bit, man. He's a really talented kid, and so I just wish him all the best, man. He's he seems to be taking it in his stride, and he's quite confident. He's got quite a story. He comes from like a heavy township upbringing, and no, here he is on the biggest stage.
That's to fight his way out, and now he's become a
That's it,
phenomenal
man.
fighter. Yeah, I'm actually really excited about him. I saw his footage.
Sure.
I got all of his stuff from his management, and they were super excited about him. He's
Yeah,
rangy. He's an exciting striker, which is always cool to check. A lot of guys, like you said, newbies on their fight card. We've got Dwayne Jones, who comes out of Sean DeLange's camp. And we know Sean DeLange always puts on an absolute show. Sean's fighting Dino BAGATTIN.
Yeah, that's we had to breeze past that. Sean DeLange, Dino BAGATTIN.
Never, you can't breeze. It's impossible breezing past that fight. That's almost like, should we be writing the fight night check for that already?
Yeah, and I actually don't want to see a single KO in this entire card. In fact, we can go the distance.
Yeah.
Keep the judges busy because
Caleb Ridley's on that fight card. I'm really excited about him coming on. He's fighting Kevin PHEKO, who lives in Johannesburg, but he's formerly from Cape Town, and he's an old good strike. I mean, that kid's amazing. He's really good. Like all those guys. I say Kevin's a kid, but he's I think he's 39 years old.
Sure.
You know, but he's insane, in great shape, and he's a beast.
Yeah.
And then my favorite signing, well, not my favorite signing, but the one that you need to watch out for is the guy's fighting Regis MUYAMBO, and Regis is on a tear himself. Is Dion Brunning. He's from Hermanus. Well, he actually is from the UK. So he came from the UK, fought there. I think he's 2-1 as a professional in the UK. Moved across to South Africa, back home. Married his now wife. Married now just recently.
Sure.
And he lives in Hermanus. So he's a legitimate BJJ black belt. A legit BJJ
And
black belt.
he also looks like a legitimate doppelganger of a famous Irish bare knuckle boxer.
Who's that?
I can't remember his name.
Is it not what are they called?
Not Bobby Gunn. There's another dude. There's a vast documentary about
I know exactly
one
which
famous
one.
dude, and he drinks and fights, and that's what he does.
Yeah, but he's like 400 years old now.
Yeah, and that could actually be his twin brother.
Man, what's his name? But anyway, Dion Brunning's the guy you got to watch out for.
Sure.
Big time. Big prospect.
Yeah.
So, get on. Come on, Cape Town.
Sure.
We haven't even talked about 59.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about in 59. I've just released a
It's a big
video
card,
today with the preliminary bouts. I don't know if you saw it. It was just a little Instagram post that I put out, and it was, we've got Elena Lunga Baratninaba fighting. Okay. It's going to be a hell of a scrap.
Yeah.
CRT, FFM always makes for an interesting bout. Then you've got Neil Duplessis, who we're trying to build quite aggressively. That's Drickus' brother, and he's going to be fighting Bruno Makulu.
Okay.
Now we know that Drickus has fought Bruno twice.
Sure.
And the last fight between Drickus and Bruno, go watch that fight again. That was a serious... Bruno was looking in amazing shape. Then we've got a heavyweight fight, Ricky Michaudis and Ivan Stradom. They're going to slug it out.
I saw that one, yes.
Then we've got Conrad CRB, who's going to be fighting Stefan Pretorius. Conrad's been out of the mix. Well, he was in the mix. What am I saying? Out of the mix. Conrad, unfortunately, didn't get to show us what he's about. Because he was supposed to fight Basimbambo. Basimbambo pulled out on the night. So now I said, look, you're hungry. Let's give you a cool fight. And he's on a tear at the moment. So he's looking to continue that tear against Stefan, hopefully. Let's see how it goes. Stefan's a beast, though. Jiu-jitsu games on point. Comes out of Rio Grappling. He knows how to handle himself. And then you've got a heavyweight fight between Bernardo's brother. Actually, it's older brother.
He's a new signing, eh?
A brand new signing, heavyweight fight. And we've actually signed two Makishis.
Yeah, the younger and the older.
The younger and the older, yeah. So he's going to be fighting Louis Yamji from Cameroon.
Yeah, the big bastard.
Yeah, Louis actually, Nico is his nickname.
Yeah.
Nico did really well against Wessel Mostert. There was a moment in that fight when they were trading, and I thought, boxing
he's a
is
hell of a unit, eh?
Serious. And who doesn't love watching two heavyweights slug it out? I mean, that's going to be a great fight to watch.
Take my money.
And if he fights anything like his brother, old Black Panther, we know that the elder Makishi is going to come out swinging, and he's going to try and take the guy's head off. And then we've got Guy Mugambe versus TC Kusu. Kasim.
Yeah.
Kasim's... how good did Kasim look in his last fight? So... amazing fight card for 59 in Joburg.
And we have to then talk about the headliner.
Oh, man. Fadipe! I was WhatsApping him today. He's back on WhatsApp. So I said, Fadipe's, what's happening, buddy?
Is he back on his visa? More important.
Yeah, the visa's sorted out. I mean, it's always a bit of a difficult stretch because he's Nigerian living in Ireland. So, his visa application takes is a mission, and it's happened so many times where he's just gone too late because he can be quite lazy with the thing, you know, unless we've got a firecracker up his ass to go and get the visa done. You know, and unfortunately we don't run a travel agency and MMA promotion, etc., etc. You know, we really do try and get his stuff done in time and push him to get it done, but it's a waiting game. So he's booked his appointment, he's there, you know, and he's, you know what, he seems pretty jacked up. I think he was quite irritated by the Bruno Makulu fight. It kind of, Bruno's style nullified his style, and they both ended up being quite a stalemate as a fight. It wasn't the most exciting Felipe performance, but he also had an injury that prevented him from really showcasing himself. His knuckle was really pushed all the way back, and that's why the last fight got postponed. So the last fight had nothing to do with visa issues. It was literally Henry's hand after the Bruno fight was screwed. So we made sure that was sorted out, and that he's cleared to fight again, and now he wants a piece of Dricus.
Is there a fight with more bad blood in the EFC than Dricus du Plessis, Henry Felipe?
You know, it's weird. There are fights that we will announce soon that are going to be close, but no, nothing that we are looking at and salivating over right now. There's a lot of bad blood, but for strange reasons. Everybody's got bad blood with Henry.
Sure.
Because he really does rub people up the wrong way.
Sure.
He comes here and he's like brash, but let's just talk about what this fight is about. Yeah. Two guys are super talented. No, not say super talented. Natural athletes. But when you watch Dricus, you go, oh wow, look, that guy's look at him, he's agro-megalic, he's got shoulders and pecs, and he's a beast, and he's a strong farm boy. You know what I mean? And then you look at Henry Felipe, who doesn't look like that, but then once he hits somebody, he lays them flat.
Yeah, he's got a lot of raw power.
He's got something in him that makes him generate power like no other person that weighs 77 kilos. Yeah. He's an absolute beast. Jiu-jitsu, on point. Look what he did to Martin van Staden, and he's that type of aggressive fighter that he doesn't he hurts people when he fights you. So Dricus has got a big fight on his hands with this guy. Yeah. But to say that Dricus isn't going to be able to handle him, I don't know. You know, it's whoever rocks up on the day with those two. You know?
Sure.
It's their fight to lose with each one of them. You know, nobody's beating the crap out of somebody else. It's their fight to lose.
Sure. And I know Dricus has mentioned many times that he's absolutely starving for that fight. Like, he was like, you know, I don't really want to give Felipe that fight because he's always cancelling and stuff. But deep down, he wants it.
He wants it, and he knows that it's going to kind of vindicate him and get him into that space, because, you know, you don't want a question mark in your career.
Sure.
You know, that's the question mark. Can Dricus beat Henry Felipe? Can he?
Yeah.
And though a lot of fans of Dricus will be like, oh no, there's no way, you know, the kid still knocks as the beast. There's always that question mark, you know, so he has to answer that question. He's the only man who can do it. And I think he's going to rock up on the night with bad intentions, old Dricus, I think so. Sure. I think he's going to really get in there, try and smash away.
We look forward to that, man. I think that's going to be another absolutely cracking fight. A lot on the line, a lot of ego on the line as well, I think. So it makes a flow of space. There's just two other people I want to discuss. Firstly, Danny Henry. Obviously, it's become quite clear, like we all, in fact, are trying to campaign to get him onto the Glasgow card and try and campaign to him.
Go, Danny, go. I don't know what the hashtag is. Danny Henry UFC. What is it? Danny Henry Glasgow.
Get Danny to Glasgow, but it's a hell of a hashtag.
It's a hometown favourite, man. Sure. They've got it. They surely have to do it. And you know what? We've left it up to him and his management team to campaign to get in there. If he needs help, we're here. But ultimately, we'd love to see him fight for the UFC. He's a great athlete, and yeah, he should be there kicking ass. His teammate Stevie Ray's on there fighting Joe Lozon.
Okay,
so it's a huge fight, and we know that team is a beast team. They're very, very well geared up. Those guys. I really like James Doolan, the trainer. So if Danny does go, what we've done is we've created contingency plans for the kids. So we've said, okay, cool. If you do manage to get into the UFC, we'll then have number one contender spots being built up right now, which is, Ozzy Thomas is fighting Pierre Botha. I wouldn't say it's an official number one, but we know that Ozzy Thomas is an absolute beast, and look at what Pierre Botha managed to do to Sizwe Mnakati. And you know, that fight can go either way. I know that Ozzy's a serious slugger, is a beast of a man to try and put down. But Pierre's high-level Commonwealth wrestling and his big striking surely leaves you with some question marks, like how's that going to go? So that's a fight that we're definitely doing, and that's going to be this fight card May.
Sure. Okay.
Then we've got Iga Kabesa, who he was the most prolific featherweight, you know, undefeated after 8 fights. You know, besides Boyd Allen, he was the most prolific featherweight, and we're going to rematch him, get him back onto a win maybe, and then he can contend. And we also have guys changing weight divisions who want to be in that space and who I would love to give title shots to. So, and the 2 guys I have in my mind, I can't announce them because there's nothing official around it, and it would be a bit premature. But there's 2 guys in particular that if they change divisions and make the run down there, oof, holy hell, we're going to see some massive fights out of that division. That's such a hot division. There's always guys filtering in there and cool guys coming out of there. I met Boyd Allen. He doesn't want to fight at featherweight. He's not scared to fight Danny. He said, I'll fight him at lightweight.
Sure.
But what does that do for Danny? You know, Danny even didn't think about it. He was like, he didn't say to me, oh no, I don't want to put my belt up on the line. He said, oh no, don't take that off the table. I'll fight Boyd. I said, yeah, but you know, in many ways, Danny, you know, we have contenders for you at featherweight. Rather take them.
Deal with them,
first. But if you get into the UFC, that we've got a contingency plan.
Okay.
If you don't, we'll match you in August.
Okay. And lastly, was just a bit of a thought that came to mind now with Soulja Boy. Obviously, for him, unfortunately, UFC hasn't gone exactly to plan.
Yeah.
He's got 1 fight left. We wait to see what happens. If he isn't going to get another contract anywhere else, would you guys look at signing him?
Call me Soldier. No, I dig Soulja Boy. He's cool. We've got a cool relationship. Always, you know, he's spearheaded a lot for EFC and spearheaded a lot for mixed martial arts in out of the continent. So he's an awesome athlete. If he ever wanted to come back and fight at EFC, we've got an open door policy with all of our athletes anyway. We help build their careers. We love them. We want them to do well. And I know there's guys like Drickus who've been saying to me, Drickus said to me before this last fight, if he comes back, I've got first dibs. I was like, okay, Drickus, we'll chat about it when the opportunity comes up. I know Yannick Bahati would love a piece of him. I know that everybody wants to fight a former UFC athlete, but he's not. The thing is, he's not former yet. We don't know what the outcome is.
Sure.
You know, they signed Soulja Boy with the anticipation of him being a really exciting fighter, and I think it was really exciting for the UFC. He was cool. He had the image. He had everything. Things didn't go his way. His last matchup, I wasn't too happy with. I know he took it because that's what they want, and when you do sign with the UFC, that's kind of your that's what you've decided to do. If they offer you Bisping on the night, and you don't take it, they'll probably overlook you. They'll be like, oh, that's the guy that refused to fight.
Yeah.
But it was Bisping on the night. I don't care. He was the guy that refused to fight. You know, he can't turn fights down. The guy was an absolute beast. He was 8-0, Brazilian boy, all finishes. You know, don't overlook who, you know, Gareth took. He took on an absolute insane beast. So I know it didn't work out, and we were all disappointed that it wasn't a win. But if he comes back... Oh, there's some cool fights.
Yeah,
there's some cool fights.
Yeah, it's funny. Like the landscape has actually changed since he left, you know, and
it is a different animal.
Serious prospects, you know, and like you say, Drickus du Plessis. That's actually where my mind stems when it comes to Soulja Boy.
You want the rematch, right?
Yeah, badly, man, badly. It's just one of those fights because Drickus was so young and he's such a different beast now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And I almost feel like, in a way, that loss for Drickus has been like the fuel for his career. He kind of took that loss. Sure,
I agree.
He had that moment where there was like a rear naked choke on, and there was a couple of seconds when I thought, this is gonna end with Drickus du Plessis as a winner here. You know what I mean? It was that close. It was really, really that close. And then he lost, and he kind of like
he's gained from it. He's gained from it. You hit the nail on the head big time. He is absolutely gained from that loss. I almost think it was the best thing for him because it put it in a different perspective for him. He realized what work needs to go in order to be at that level, and he's just stepped it up a whole nother level.
Yeah, sure. And it's almost like he's kind of based his whole career that somewhere down the line he will meet Soulja Boy
Absolutely.
again. That's
I like Drickus because he gets it.
Sure.
He understands that, you know what, it's not about right now. It's not about right now. In MMA, it's not about right now. You look at, they need to take the boxing approach, okay? And I don't mean in terms of records, because, boxers will fluff up their records with, 15 wins of nobody's tin cans, and then they're fighting undefeated, and it's the most amazing fight, and they turn pro, whatever the story is. Whereas our guys, you can be, 2 and 5. You could be Artem Lobov.
Yeah.
Artem Lobov was like, he was like 4 and 6 when he signed for the UFC or something ridiculous.
His record was when he came into Ultimate Fighter was like 14 and 12 or 14 and 10.
Ridiculous. Like he literally had a lopsided record where he had more losses in the category than wins. And he is testament to somebody who you look at and go, but he's just a hell of a cool fighter to watch. He slugs the crap out of people.
He's going to headline with Cub Swanson.
Exactly. So take that and realize that Drickus is going, it's not about, it's about my long-term career.
Sure.
Let me take good opponents. Let me notch it up. Boom. Here, he's also the type of guy that's planning businesses around his career.
Yeah.
So he's launching beers, Still Knox beer, to compete with Vale beer. Another one of our athletes has launched the Vale beer, and he's got his own restaurant, and he does like exotic animal purchasing and. So he's taking what the platform of being in front of millions of people on SABC and Kwese and turning it into businesses, and at the same time he also understands that I can fight people, build up my career, and he'll fight Gareth if and Gareth might be listening to this one day and go, I'm retiring, guys.
Yeah.
Whatever G wants to do, he'll let us know. But ultimately, or I'm never fighting for EFC again, or whatever he decides to do, if he does decide to come back, it'll be at the right time for Drickus and Gareth. And if Drickus doesn't come out the better of that fight, there's a reason for it.
Sure.
And he'll get back on the pony and keep going. So because you have losses in your column, the point I'm trying to make, after all this, what I'm trying to make is records mean absolutely nothing.
Sure. I think especially in the modern game, people want to see exciting fighters, and if you go, it's also like in the same breath, if you go down on your sword, people will always remember you. You know what I mean? They won't even care about the loss, and I think we've seen that so many times. Sean DeLange, Gordon Rootman,
Champion Dolce. Champion Dolce has lost, but he's the champion and he's a beast. And would I want to fight that guy any day of the week? No.
Yeah, no, I'm crossing the road.
Don Madge has lost. He's lost to Leon. Yes, let's admit it. I mean, we can't hide away from it.
Yeah.
But is he right now the number one contender and the biggest threat to the title? Yes. Absolutely, 110%. So, the fights right now, these guys have been reshaped and molded. They're beasts.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it's, the UFC is in such a great space at the moment, and it's, the 2 cards and the 3 cards and the 4 cards that we've spoken about, it's just mouth-watering. It's literally
awesome.
you just sit your mouth-watering.
At the top and middle and bottom. So, so the guys that are headlining, cool, amazing fights. The guys in the middle that are building towards contendership, amazing. And all the new guys that are joining the organization, super, super talents.
Sure.
And I hope that, come 58, 59, 60 and 61 and all the way throughout the rest of this year, it keeps on continuing in this vein of being able to put phenomenal fights together. Makes my job really easy to have such cool fighters.
100%. Well, thank you, Mr. G.
Thank you, Al.
Some great insight and some great fight announcements, and it's, geez, man, I'm just really looking forward to this year. I think it's going to be insane. I mean, well, we've got EFC 58 first before we continue in the year, but there's so many other fights that are still going to come and they're still going to happen. I mean, it's really, really exciting. I think MMA is we're hitting a golden age now, and it's really.
And
really
one
exciting.
last thing I want to mention, and you can exit me on this after
Sure.
this one. We are doing a very cool thing for EFC 58 on Media Day on a Sunday. We're starting our first engaged series. It is very much like
Awesome.
the embedded series. It is super in depth. It gets into the athletes' lives. It follows Don Madge and Dave Mazany around. We'll
Sure.
be posting the whatever's happened during that day the very next day.
Okay.
So I'll be cruising around Cape Town with these guys. Their fight week build-up is always just, it's mind-boggling what goes on in the rituals and the family lives and everything of these guys. So watch that series. It's going to be an awesome thing to see.
Awesome.
And don't get too excited, because obviously you watch these things, and by fight night you're just like chewing on the bit.
I love it. Those things are awesome, man. Like the embedded series, like the UFC does, is really, really cool, because it gets you invested in fighters,
Yeah.
and it shows that human side, which is really important, I think, and it's
So hopefully ours translates. We're going to give it a go.
yeah,
We're gonna put it together. We've got a film crew filming it, so we're hoping to achieve the same sort of
Yeah,
thing
sure.
with our guys.
sure. I think it'll be epic, man, and all the best.
Thank
And
you.
Thank you very much for your time, man.
Thank you, Al. Thanks for having me.
Ciao.
At EFC 58, the lightweight champion, American Dave Mazany, will defend his title against Cape Town favorite, Don Madge. Will the pain-trained dominance continue inside the hexagon, or will the Magic Man finally get his hands back on EFC gold? Plus, the former interim bantamweight champion, Ishad Syed, will aim to set the crowd alight against the electrifying showman, Tumisang Madiba. EFC 58, Saturday, 8 April, Grand West, Cape Town. Tickets and broadcast information at efcworldwide.com.